Hi, good morning. Thank you for inviting Dolcera to present at this conference. We are delighted to be here. My name is Samir Raiyani, and I'm the CEO of the company. My colleague Lakshmikant Goenka, who is the head of our operations here in India, was going to be the presenter, but he was not well, and so I decided to substitute for him. These slides are prepared by him and another colleague of ours, Mr. Manikandan. We've been speaking a lot about innovation this morning, and I mean, innovation is a buzzword, but it's also very important for organizations, large and small, especially for larger organizations, right? I mean, an organization like Procter & Gamble, which said that, okay, we want to grow at, we want to double in size every 10 years or something like that. When you're starting from a base of, $150 billion in, or what is it, like some $100 billion in revenues, it's extremely hard. Or for 180,000 crore organization like Indian Oil, how do you grow that, those revenue streams? And so innovation has to be the key driver for these types of organization. And patenting is a very inherent part of this. And what we have been doing, our company, Dolcera, has been doing is partnering with large organizations, companies like Procter & Gamble, companies like Qualcomm, Motorola, several of the large corporations. We've been providing them with IP research and analytics services. We've also been working with some law firms in these areas. Our goal is to analyze information, patents, scientific literature, clinical trials, all the different sources of information, organizing them, presenting them, and helping people move forward with the process of innovation. Right? What we have learned this morning is that the process of innovation is hard, and to a certain extent, it's even hard to define it, because there is discontinuous innovation, something like Facebook that just comes out of nowhere. You don't know what led up to Facebook, and you can kind of draw the lines when you look backwards, but you can't see what will be coming after Facebook, and guess what? There's Twitter. So these types of things happen fairly discontinuously, and for large organizations, it's very hard to predict these things. But then there are other more incremental changes that companies bring in that are equally lucrative, that also create a lot of value for organizations, like an Android operating system for somebody like Google. These types of things are relevant, important, and very lucrative. So we have been working with these types of organizations, and we've been helping them develop their innovation processes, but also executing their innovation processes systematically and continuously. Right? And those are very important words for us: process-driven, systematic innovation, and also continuous innovation. So what are the types of problems we help our clients answer? So one of the areas, let's talk about telecommunications. In the telecommunications space, we started with GSM and 2G systems, went to 2.5G, 3G. Now we are talking about 4G networks and so on. And these are things that keep changing very regularly, and these are very lucrative markets, very large markets, with a lot of room for innovation, even though these markets have been around for a while. Right? But they are also standards based, and there are a lot of competitors. So we help our companies understand their competitors, what are the standards, what are the patterns of licensing, litigation, etc., that are developing in this space. The goal is to help our clients get a lot of value out of their innovations and be important players in the markets they are interested in. Okay? What I'm going to speak about very quickly today is the process by which we help our clients. It's a very nuts and bolts sort of a description of how we work with our clients, and hopefully you can get a flavor of the types of things we do. You can adopt it within your own enterprises, or work with us to bring these types of processes into your organization. We have learned from the major players in the industry. We've worked with fairly large companies, companies like Medtronic, Procter & Gamble, Clorox, Genentech, Qualcomm. All these players, we've worked with them. We know that they adopt similar approaches, so we are very comfortable with recommending it to you today. Coming back to what is innovation, I mean, we've heard many definitions today. We've also seen how many ideas there are in the organizations and how they still need to be converted into something which is much substantial, which can be taken to the market and so on. The process of innovation management, the goal is to be able to share ideas, rate them, and make decisions about ideas, right? So it's kind of a, as we heard, there is this sort of more of a linear approach to innovation, and then there is sort of more of an open approach to innovation. In either case, what I'm going to describe now is not going to be significantly different. Invention has been defined by the dictionary as a discovery. Invention may be a concept, process, object, etc., etc., right? What are the challenges around, information and innovation? So R&D groups in organizations are trying to make something better or new. Marketing groups are trying to make something profitable. Legal groups want to avoid minefields. And so they all expect some kind of a method to the madness of innovation. Right? I mean, that's really the challenge that they're trying to face. You got all this information, but you have to be able to convert it into a product that will be profitable and will be safe and will not, drive you into bankruptcy or whatever, right? So one of the issues that you face is lack of information. So we've seen this with companies that are very broad focus. So companies that are growing, or their markets are changing. So let me give you an example of, again, from the telecommunication industry. There are the PC makers and, Intels and the Microsofts who have the PC market sewn up and who've got lots and lots of IP in that area. On the mobile devices side, you've got companies that have really figured out how to make low cost, low power chips and handsets and so on. But their worlds are converging. Because of the smartphones, because of the iPhones and so on, their worlds are converging. So one side does not know a whole lot about others. That's where we see a lack of information. Okay? Then there are organizations like Microsoft that kind of sit in between, where they have, hived off so many different processes. Like they're kicked off like an Xbox unit, and they have Windows Mobile and so on. But the information is not available in one place. There are problems where you have distributed information and other areas where you have very technical information that really is not actionable for business, right? So the challenge, the nuts and bolts challenge we face, our clients face on a day-to-day basis, is to convert data to wisdom. Okay, take data, raw information, and then convert it into something actionable. That's the day-to-day challenge that we all face. So what we recommend is a very simple approach, which is the 4-layered approach. I'm sure everybody follows the same approach. What we are just trying to put is a little bit of structure, especially in the context of intellectual property information, right? So the 4-layer approach involves extraction, data cleansing, integration, and presentation. Okay? Now, on top of this, or all through this process, of course, there is a lot of insightful analysis, and there is decision making that happens towards the end. That's a parallel process. This is what we do. In parallel, our clients and the experts are working to make sense out of all the information. So let's set up the context. What is the context here? The context is that, let's say you're a company and you're interested in a particular area of technology or market, and let's assume the technology area is carbon nanotubes, for example. And what you're trying to understand is what's going on in this space, what's the IP, who are the players, what's going on, etc., etc. Right? So the process we follow is, the first step is data extraction. And here is what we have done. We start very basic with some very basic information. So we look at, in the data extraction phase, we look at the background, we understand where the information is, we develop the search concepts and find what databases there are, and experiment with them to figure out what is the best way to get to this information. So here you see the background of nanotechnology, what are the key applications, and here are some of the trends around nanotechnology products, the background of carbon nanotubes and the science in that area. So all this information is collected from scientific data sources and different places, right, like Wikipedia, etc. After that, we jump into, figuring out what the space really looks like. So this is something that you see here where we are organizing the information in a mind map based on technology uses, properties of nanotubes, and so on. So this is where the searching process begins, and I don't have the search strategy here, but basically the search strategy in the patent databases will look somewhat like this. We will develop all the concepts for each of those areas. We'll identify the patent classes and so on. And we will develop the keyword-based search strategies, and this is how we extract the information from the data sources, right? Now this is for patent information. Similar process can be applied to different other data sources, scientific literature, and what have you. It changes from domain to domain, different for chemistry, different from biotechnology, and so on and so forth. Okay? Next step is data cleansing and analysis, right? So this is a very important step where you are now looking at large quantities of information and cleansing it at the first level. This is where you start developing insights into the domain, like as you saw here, we have developed a little bit of an insight into how this space is playing out. Okay? The next step is to create a framework, which I showed you, the taxonomy as we call it. Different people use different terms. They call them categories, buckets, taxonomy. But that's how you need that. I cannot emphasize the importance of taxonomies in these types of processes. There are ready-made taxonomies available, but having one that really fits your business is very important. And as soon as you have a taxonomy that fits your business requirements, half the problem is solved, because now you're seeing the business in a structured fashion, your problems in a structured fashion. Okay? Then the process is to the next step is, so here's the taxonomy. The next step is data integration and valuation, right? So what we do in this case is we analyze the documents, the results that we have obtained in a great deal of detail, and bucketize them, categorize them, etc. This is, of course, after filtering them. We also, if the problem is, let's say, valuation of IP, we also work on a number of different models. So we can define different models for valuing a particular IP based on who the players are in the industry, their revenues, their trends, the growth rates, etc., etc., and then correlate the strength of the patents with the models related to the market to create the valuation, to identify the valuation of the IP. Okay. So what does this look like? In this case, what we have done is we categorized some of the patents in this area, and I will show you the categorization in a minute, but it looks somewhat like this. You can see all the different categories here, and for each of the categories you can see how many patents are organized here, right? So we have developed this technology platform called the dashboard, the IP dashboard, and we provide this information online so that you can really visualize it and get into the meat of the data, right? And you can see the actual patents, read the claims, etc., etc., through this tool. And this is what it looks like dynamically. You can go into the different subcategories, see what information, what kind of patents NASA has in this area, look at their claims, open the PDFs, and so on. You can also look at these fields along a timeline. So now you're getting a sense of how this information plays out. We also provide other views of this information, like valuations and so on. And this is all presented, as I showed you, using different online tools. As I showed you, this is the dashboard, this is the wiki, PowerPoint, what have you. There are a variety of ways to present this information. Okay? And here the idea is that having all the information integrated in one place, filtered, categorized, organized, will help you generate ideas more effectively and innovate more systematically. Let me give you an example, a couple of examples of how these systems are used. One of our clients is one of the largest medical devices companies in the world. And they used to bring people into a room for brainstorming sessions to generate new ideas. And it took them hours, first of all, to get everybody on the same page and for them to have the technology understood for them to generate new and effective ideas. Instead, what we did was we developed these types of reports and landscapes and the information, and we gave it to them up front. Now, the inventors came into the room, they were prepared, they had read up on the topic, they had understood what was going on, they knew the state of the art, and they saw that the number of ideas being generated doubled, and they were much more effective ideas, much more high quality ideas. It's very important, therefore, to have the background ready for you to be able to generate something useful. That's one example. Another example I can think of is where companies have been doing this systematically, the mining of this information to identify partners for open innovation. So for some of our clients in the consumer product space, they have really taken open innovation to heart, and they have been working very closely with us, where we would develop this type of a landscape or this type of an analysis, and they would use it to identify key partners, okay, or identify technology that they could license. Of course, one of the major uses for this is freedom to operate type of analysis. This information can be used for other purposes like out-licensing, creating a licensing program, and there is a variety of other ways in which our clients have used this information. Let's see, do I have any more slides? Just some examples of how we present the information. And so overall, systematic intellectual property management or innovation process management would help you promote a culture of innovation, build teams, assess ideas, secure, manage intellectual property from inception and so on. I mean, a lot of these points were covered in a lot more detail by Dr. Kashyap, so I'm not going to spend more time on it. But what we have learned from working with 60 to 70 of the world's largest companies in a variety of domains, Fortune 500 companies, that having a systematic process like this is very, very important, and it works. And if you're not doing it, then you are leaving money on the table. Right? Just a quick overview of who we are. We are based here in Hyderabad in India, and also in California in the Silicon Valley. And our clients, as I said, come from a variety of industries: CPG, food and beverages, biotech, high-tech, telecommunications, etc. We have a combination of scientific experts. We have a team of over 60 people in Hyderabad, as well as in US, a smaller team in US. We've developed a lot of in-depth understanding in a variety of domains, and we have learned and developed best-in-class processes and tools like the dashboard I showed that is being used. These tools are being used by all the world's largest companies. So we hope that if you have any questions, you would contact us. My email address is here, and I'll be at the conference until the end of the day. So thank you again. If you have any questions.